Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, in this session, we will discuss the solution on page 324 from this book. So the question asks you to write a main program that performs the task. Okay, the first one is to accept a series of test scores. The second is to determine the grade for each score. Next, to display the frequency for each grade. Next, to display the highest and lowest score. And if the test score entered is invalid, then the program needs to display appropriate error messages. Okay, and the program is also required to repeat the process until the user decides to stop. So we have the range of scores and also the grade, okay, shown in this table. For example, if the score is in between this range, if the score is 85, so the grade for that score is A. Okay, so next is the user screen analysis. So based on the question just now, you have to determine the keywords, the task. Okay, so normally we go and get we try to identify the three important elements in terms of the input, the process, and the output. Okay, so in this case, the task is to accept a series of test scores. So you can visualize first. Okay, in this case, we're going to come up with the output, visualize the output that the user is expected to see on the screen. So hence the user screen analysis. So to accept a series of test scores and then to determine the grade for each score. So you can visualize this will happen when you as a user get to execute this program. Okay, so first you will be asked to enter a test score. Okay, so this one is the a value given by the user, and based on the score there will be what we call there will be a statement, okay, that will inform whether that will inform the grade for that particular score. Okay, in this case, of course, 85.5 is A, so it will display grade A. Okay, next it will ask the user to enter another score. Okay, this is up to the user. If he or she would like to continue, then he or she must press 1. Okay, if not, okay, now in this case 2, but in my program later on I just use 1 for no. Okay, and then if the user decides to proceed, it will you can see here the user entered 1, then another cycle accepting the user input is displayed. Okay, so this will go on repeatedly. All right. Okay, so here is this simple algorithm, okay, that you can use. First, you input the test code, which is this one. Input the test code. Okay. Next, you have to determine the grade for that score. So this one, in order for you to display this one, you have to have a process here. Okay, if it is A, B, C, D, or E. So here is another process. Next one, display the grade. So these two, okay, belongs to this one. Okay, determine and display. All right. Next, okay. So for this one, input test score. This is what you will do. Okay, enter test score. So this one belongs to this, right? Input test score. Next, to determine the grade for that score, so here you have to use the if selection. So you have to check if that score is in between this range, then the grade is A. So you assign A to the location grade. In this case, you have to have a location, okay, to store the value A, B, C, D, or E, right? So next one, if it is not within this range, then you have to check for another range. Okay, so you have else if score this range, the grade is B, else. Next, if okay the score is other than this range, then you have to display invalid score. Okay. So next, display. Just now determine the grade. Okay, so to display, then simply see out the grade for this score is whatever value stored in grade according to the score input by the user. Okay, so this, okay, you can have all of the statement here. Right. Next one. Okay, next one. This is done. Okay, this is done. Next, you have to display the frequency for each grade. The frequency means how many grade A, how many grade B's, and so on. Okay, that is the frequency. The number of grade A, the number of grade B. So here, what you can do is when you determine the grade for that particular score, then inside here you can increase the counter for that grade. Okay, so you can add. Okay, you can add. Okay, in the if selection, if the score is within this range, then assign it to grade and increase counter for each grade. So to count how many grade A's, then you have to have one counter to count. Okay, so to count grade A, to count for grade B, then you have another counter. Okay, so I use count A, count B. So you have to initialize the count A, count B to 0. Then only you can increase the counter, right? Next, display the highest and lowest score. Okay, to display the highest and lowest score, you have to understand something here, right? You know that a test score can be in between 0 to 100, where 0 is the lowest value and 100 is the highest value. Okay, but for you to determine, okay, from the score which one is the highest, which one is the lowest, in this case you have to refer to a benchmark. Okay, just like when, okay, when you want to check, okay, when you want to be seen as a slimmer person, of course you want to sit next to someone who is kind of fat, right? So that is the benchmark. If you want to be seen as a not so tall person, then you can sit next beside someone who is tall enough, right? So in this case, in terms of the lowest, you have to assign the highest value. So lowest gets 100, okay, and highest gets 0. Why is that so? Because you want to check for the value which is lower than lowest or higher than highest. Okay, you'll see next what I mean. Okay, so if, okay, if highest is 0, okay, the benchmark is 0. If there is any other score higher than 0, so you will replace the highest value which is initially set to 0. You will replace that value to the current score value. Okay. Okay, in that case you will get to keep the current value, right? So same goes to lower score. You want to check for the lower score, so you want to compare with the highest score, right? So the highest is 100. If there is any other value that is lower than 100, then you keep that value. So in that case you will get the lowest value of all, right? Alright, so in this case, you check if the current score is greater than highest, then assign the current score to the location highest. Okay, same goes to lowest. If the current value is less than lowest, so assign the current value to the location lowest. Alright. So next, here we have the invalid score. If an invalid test score is entered, then you are asked to display appropriate error message. So ask the user to re-enter a new test score. So simple enough. Okay, in this case, we want to make sure that for any invalid score, then you want to display invalid score message. Okay, so the rest of the statements must be included inside the valid score statement. So what are the valid values, valid score values? If the scores are between 0 and 100, right? So if the score is in this range, then you put all the statements there. Else meaning if the user entered, for example, 101, it will go to invalid score. Okay, if the user entered -1, then it will go into the invalid score message, right? So okay, so this is what I meant. Okay, if this is for the valid score. Okay, so put all of these statement inside the if statement. Next, okay, for the invalid score session, then display invalid score, please enter a valid score. Right. Next, now repeat the process until the user decides to stop. This is a sentinel loop. Okay, you have to remember the structure for a sentinel loop. Okay, so this one, do you want to input another score? 1 for yes, 2 for no. So if the user entered 1, it means the user wants to proceed. So you will go to another cycle, right? Okay, so in this case, use sentinel loop. Okay, I use the variable proceed. Okay, proceed is true, assign proceed as true. Okay, now in this case I don't want to use what we call 1 or 2. I use 1 or 0. I can use that, so I can use boolean. Okay, I don't want to use integer, I can use boolean. So boolean true, proceed is true. While true, then begin. Begin, put all of the statements just now that that you have created earlier, put inside the while loop. Okay, now ask the user proceed to next input, yes, no. Okay, and then input the value for proceed. Right, so you got this one, input test score. Okay, see, everything is inside the loop. See in score inside the loop. Okay, everything. Okay, the selection inside the loop. The last statement before you exit from the loop is to ask whether the user would like to go and key in the next input. So ask the user, do you want to input another score? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Okay, I mentioned just now I use 1 and 0 of type boolean. Okay, but this one here you can use 1 for yes, 2 for no of type integer. It does not matter, as you can declare whatever value that you want. Okay, now I use location proceed. Okay, so you can visualize proceed as having either the value 1 or 0, right? True or false. Next one. So next one is on this sentinel loop. Okay, sentinel loop we have covered just now. Okay, while proceed. Okay, and everything's inside the while loop. Okay, so done this one, done this one. Okay. So lastly is to display the information. You want to display the frequency of the grades and you want to display the highest and lowest. To display the frequency of grades, simply display grade A, how many grade A, how many grade B, C, D, and E. See that each one has its own counter. Okay, for A you have count A, for B count B, and so on. Right, next one, to display the highest and lowest score, then of course you have the location lowest, you also have the location highest, right? That's it. So here is the sample output of this program. Enter a test score 85.5, then it displays the grade for this score, which is A. And next, ask the user to enter another score. Okay, yes or no? Yes. Yes, then enter another score. Okay, check the grade. Do you want to input another score? Yes. Now this time I purposely entered -5. See, it displays invalid score, asking me to re-enter a valid score. You want to proceed? Yes, no? Yes. Yes, a valid score. And then the grade for this score. You want to input another score? Now this time I say no. No, then straight away it will display this summary, the frequency of the grades, the highest and the lowest. I entered only 213. So this is the first value, the second value, and the third value. Of course, 3 values. Right?